Welcome guys to a Worldly Wednesday where we play Distant Worlds 2. So I'm going to be sort of delving back into this amazing game that we've been playing actually. It's been really quite engaging. So and I've sort of titled this one, We Desperately Need Blasters, because we desperately need blasters. We're trying to sort of work our way up to getting the high level weaponry, because that's one area that the enemy, the perpetual enemy that we have over here is really sort of pushing us around a lot. Now they're expanding incredibly, which makes life very, very hard for us. We're just this little green faction sort of sitting back out over this other side. That's interesting. The line has changed from there to there, which wasn't the case a little while ago. Anyway, they keep on encroaching into our territory, and life gets more and more difficult. We've just finished a war with them. I don't know if we've still got war weariness. No, our war weariness is now gone. All right, so but we really we're not going to be able to do anything with them for a little while. So we recently ended a war with this faction, only a few months ago. Declaring war on this now would severely damage our reputation. So we're not going to do that, of course. But we just need to gear up. So that's really where we are in the game. We're playing as the Harkonish, which is a recently sort of adapted faction, redesigned and sort of rejigged, and it's been fairly cool actually. We're trying to force our way into different markets, but we keep on being stymied all the time, and so we've had sort of close relationships, for example, with the Rheingold Interstellar Commonwealth, but they've now been taken over also by this group, the Famulus Polymathia, and so these have actually become more of an issue for us now. It's so all of the factions that are in through here have now sort of fallen under they're subjugated to the Quamino back in this particular area. So that's the troubles that we have. Also, what we'll be doing later on today is when I finish the stream, we'll in about 2.5 hours, we'll do a raid across. If you're watching this on Twitch, we'll do a raid across to the Slytherin channel, because they're now back. They're back, baby. As of today, they're going to be doing another hot seat. So we'll sort of we'll flick across to there, and to sort of listen to Marco interview some devs from different games. Actually, I didn't even have a look to see what the devs are going to be talking about today. So anyway, that's we'll do that at the end of it. I had mentioned yesterday that I was going to be doing another Task Force Admiral game today. I probably won't get a chance to do that today. I won't be able to. So I'll be doing that one over the coming days. So it won't be tomorrow either. We've got Menace is available tomorrow to do live streams with, so I'll play that tomorrow. So anyway, we'll end up sort of playing that one over the coming, within a few days anyway. All right, let's keep on cracking forward then. So in this case, really what we're just doing here is essentially just trying to get our research up and running. Now we do actually have, if I go back into this research here, just to explain a little bit about what's going on, we need to get at the very, very top under weapons, at the very, very top, you can see there we've got advanced blasters, which have been placed in the second rung. And so what these then go and do is we're assuming that that there's going to be another group of blasters after this. We do have high power blasters. Actually, this is the one. We need to get to this one and then go beyond this one. So the advanced blasters are really just a placeholder for now until we sort of get these things done. But we can't actually research this one. You can see there we've got a research threshold of 20% in weapons research from all sources, and we have 15% at the moment from everything we have. So we're a sort of middle of the road technological faction. We're not all that bright, but we're not sort of dumb either. Some of the other factions would really struggle to get to this particular tech, but we actually have. So we've got 15% from all research. So we actually have some bonuses to all research at this point in time, and so we need to get to 20. So we need another 5, and the way that we do that is to go down to our research. Where is it? Jump to research down the bottom here, and structured research. Once we actually get this one through here, so this is going to be another we can do a little bit through this other side. Now we've almost got enough money to initiate a crash. Oh, actually, we do. We've got enough to actually initiate the crash program. I need to invest heavily in research at this point in time. Now, the reason we want this is because what it does give us access to is the Science Academy, and we can only build one of them in the Empire. And when we have a look down the very, very bottom there, it says that we get the appearance of the appearance for scientists to arrive, like to sort of show up randomly as 25%, but all importantly, all research goes up by another 10%. So getting that will then take us across the threshold of the of those blasters. So I may even push the multi-role starships up above there. Structured research, I will click on this one and actually pay the money. So we'll pay the costs to get that one done. That's now going to halve the time, so 1.5 years to actually get that one done. And then that way we'll ultimately be able to pick up, hopefully, the blasters, which is what we're struggling with against the enemy. The enemy have actually got like 2 levels past that already. So so we are a long, long way behind in terms of weapon development, which is going to take us years and years and years to actually go and research. Let's just unpause the game and just wait for things to happen. Now we are recovering after the combat that's actually occurred in this system. We are sort of picking up debris from old battles. Discovered hidden items. Yeah, that's okay. Research breakthrough. Okay, while salvaging a power relay in the Takamar system, we've made the following discovery. So the orbital escape launchers. That's interesting. I mean, we've sort of found it from battles that have occurred. If you have a look and see where that one actually was, the advanced, the research breakthrough there, if we have a quick look and see, so we will actually now have picked that one up. Now that will be under, it'll be up in here somewhere. Where would it be? It's all the countermeasures. It's mining, it's construction, so it won't be that one. Yeah, orbital escape launches here. So what this one does is it gives us a planetary fighter base where we can end up with 36 fighter capacity on the where we've got that sort of available. We've got orbital hive defenses, which gives us 24. So what we want to do is anywhere where we've got a hive fighter base, which is a fairly early tech, we've now got this orbital escape launcher to give us 36. Now the maintenance of this one is only 500 a year. This one is also 500 a year. So we end up with 12 more fighters using this particular base that we actually just found the plans for in amongst the like when we hover over that one, the research breakthrough did occur back in through here. If I just click on show me, there will have been a like this one here was possibly coming in and just picked up some debris that was sort of left over in space. So we've actually now picked that one up, and that means all of the actual colonies that we have that have actually now got those other bases. So let's just go through each of them, just open them up. We can then sort of see we've got advanced shipyard, planetary administration, troop cloning, armor barracks. So we don't actually have one at our home world. We probably really should do that. So what we end up having is we've got the planetary shield generator, the planetary fighter base is the one that we want. We've probably, I don't know if the hive one will then sort of show up. No, it's not, because it's now been superseded. So we can build one of these for 10,000. I've only got one of them I can build. I'll just have a look at some of the others. So Mesum 1 has got, there we go, hive fighter base at this point in time. And we can upgrade to the planetary fighter base for 0 credits. So we can actually just go and say, yep, build away. So let's just go and do that. And so we've got, by selecting upgrade to the planetary fighter base for 0 credits. So we'll just get them building that one while we're not at war. Nithos also has one as well. This is like a frontier location. So we'll go and do the upgrade there. Chakama is another one. This is another one that we've got the hive. So I'm just going to go through and make sure that anything we've got the hive fighter base, we will do the upgrade for. So of all of the different cities, all the different locations that we actually end up having. Now Sula 1, where is that? If I just go across to it, double click it. So this is one that we've actually taken all way on the outskirts there. Don't really need to do anything there. This is pretty safe at this stage. I may still build one. Look, we've got a hive base built in our secondary moon, which is back over here, which has been targeted. So we do actually have the. Actually, we don't have one here. This has been targeted a few times. So I think I'll actually go and build the facilities here, and I'm going to go and build the planetary fighter base here as well. So we're just going to grab one of those. That's now going to not leave us enough money to get anything else. Hi Quark, how are you going? And Art of Stuttering. Hope you guys are doing okay. While we're going through this as well, if you've got any questions about what's happening in the game, please sing out. I do play this one quite slowly because I really do enjoy the stories that sort of come out of it. Like it's been really quite a fascinating sort of run. We've sort of got these guys really where we want them. This is the CU. I'm guessing it's the CU would be the name of it. This is the Artux, where this is their home world, but we do actually have. Like we've sort of taken over some time ago their main mining station, so we actually have a fleet in here to look after our interests in this system. They don't like that, so they're quite negative against us, but they sort of have to trade with us. We might talk a little bit about that as well in the way that this sort of game works. I might talk a little bit about the economy. We haven't done that for a little while actually, and it's sort of one of those things where if you had played the old game, hang on, we've got incoming fleet detected. It's been travelling towards a sail. Yes, this is actually nothing much we have to worry about. This is the third invasion fleet, which is got one infantry, one armoured. It really can't do anything. We're not at war with them, so and it's just they keep on doing this where they're trying to set up an invasion. This just isn't going to work. Like these are other invasion fleets that had come back from other groups. 14th invasion fleet of the Rheingold. Okay, they're travelling towards Meesum. It's the third invasion fleet. We'll just have a look at each of these. 14th invasion fleet. It's got 4 armour, 5 infantry. If they make it into here, these are our old allies. But if they make it into Meesum, we're going to need to defend this. So we'll have a bit of an analysis of what's going on. We do actually have the 5th Strike Force, which is a big fleet now, and they've just been set up to defend. So they're defending that particular world. It's a human world, so if we have a look at this one through here, what we'll see is it's invading Meesum, but it's going to stage at Krykorny, and Krykorny is in here. And so there's another one in here as well, which another invasion fleet, a human invasion fleet, which is, if we just go and click on that particular group, we don't know what they're waiting for fuel tankers, and they also have 5 armour, 7 infantry. Now we're not at war with either of these, but they can still, you can launch military, sort of ventures if you're wanting to. But they tend to bounce in and then bounce back out. It's sort of one of these things where they decide not to fairly quickly. So there's some fairly strong fleets moving around the place. So we're sort of a bit spread. We've got the 7th Defence Force over here at Draconia. This is a very, very important colony. Well, not even a colony, actually just a mining station that we have. Getting Zentabia fluid. This is something we've had to defend quite a few times. 9th Defence of the Comanches have been travelling towards a sail as well. So what's happening here is the humans are looking to invade this world. The Mortallans, the sort of like the reptilians, are looking to invade a sail. And you can see there's like an arrow pointing to the Jalupy system where they'll actually prepare themselves and then go for the invasion. Mission completed. Our agent Wad Abuta has evaded detection after successfully carrying their mission to steal research information on regenerating hull splinters. Now we don't really need that one, but that's okay. This is actually tech from the my mind's gone blank. Sort of like the bear type creatures, and they actually have like very, very good boarding pods. So that's what that is. And Quark has also evaded detection after failing to steal research information on orbital escape launches. Now that's essentially what we had anyway. So we've already got the orbital escape launches. If we have a quick look and see where that is, that was back up in here. So the reason he failed is because we've already got it. We already found it. Found it just while he was off doing that particular mission. Hi Began, how you going? And Michael Truller saying, I'm not sure if I know this, but if you go to settings and adjust the slider for galaxy map opacity to 100%, you get much stronger, clear Empire colours on the map. Yes, that's true actually. What it is I'll just pause and just show you. It's what it does. There's a few different things you can do, and I can't remember all of them. But you've got, you do actually have a. Where is it? It's the so many different settings in this. Starfield level, number of stars in the background is starfield, the starfield opacity. That may be the one. So it's the opacity of starfield, lower values makes the starfield more transparent, making the stars less visible. So I don't mind it the way it's looking at the moment. But there are, I think that's actually galaxy map opacity. There we go. So alters the opacity of elements in the galaxy map, making them either more opaque or more transparent. This includes elements like empire, territory and borders, colonized system markers and system badges. So you do actually have the galaxy map element overlay. The galaxy map element opacity when fleet overlay is enabled. This one actually is important. If you do put the fleet view on, this also then makes things stand out much better. And then the ship spaces and scale, that's just scaling through there. I think it's in here. I'm actually happy with what I've got there, but yes, you can actually do that as well for the actual Empire colours. But the other way to get around that is to go and edit go to the game editor. You can then change the colours of factions if you're sort of having trouble to, for example, seeing between this one and this one. You can actually then go and change the colour of one of the two players if you're wanting to. But I'm happy enough with what we're seeing there, so I won't won't change that one too much. So we'll just continue on, return to the game, and move on. Hi, Von Schweinhund, how are you going? You're saying good afternoon, morning. Well, it's very very early in the morning for me. Incoming fleet detected, the 23rd invasion fleet detected. Again, they're travelling towards Measam. If they come in, we will actually, the 23rd is further back again as well, and they also have 3 Armour 1 infantry. So there's a lot of different groups now going to be sort of moving in, potentially, against us here. So we've got a few different potential invasion groups. There's another fleet that set itself back up in through there. We've got a sixth fleet is hovering around in these systems. I won't do much until we sort of start to see them act on things. Here they come. This is the first of the invasions. What I might do is I'll move to half speed if this becomes a hot topic. What we'll do is we'll actually let them come in to a degree before we actually engage with them. They can bounce in, almost threaten you, and then disappear again. And it's not going to do them good to, if they land anything, I will blast them out of the sky. So in both cases, we'll just sort of try to keep an eye on both of these. I might just go to half speed now, just so we can sort of see the invasions kick in. So there's staging here, getting ready, and so then this particular group, if we have a look at the 14th, so if I just go and grab it, doesn't have that many ships, as you can sort of see through here. 2 fuel tankers, a whole lot of small troop transports, but it does have 4 armour, 5 infantry. And I think what they'll do is they'll get into our system here, see Measam 1. Now we've already got our fleet just in the right position over this other side. We've got a star base on the other side of, actually that's a resort base. Do we have a star base here? Build one out this way. Build small spaceport. I don't have one. We must have been blasted in the war. So let's go and build a star base out this way. And so they need to get rid of these sorts of bases and things before they can really do anything. yeah, we had a lot of combat going on in through this other side. Now this is the fifth group in through this other side. Now when they arrive, we'll sort of be in position to stop them as they come in. But I'm thinking that what they'll do is come in, see that we've got like a large force on the ground here. Like we've got a lot of troops on the ground. They're not going to be able to break through. So that is it's a bit of a moot point. Even if they drop their group on the surface, they're not going to be able to fight it. It's native to their troops, but it's not going to help them. And we'll sort of see they've now got no mission, so they're not going to land. I think that the others have now stopped in space. Yeah, look, here they are. They've decided, no, that's not going to work, so they've actually now moved backwards. These group haven't come in yet, but we've got a few different invasion fleets and big fleets out that way with the Mortallans. So we won't engage with them. We're not... eventually I'd like to... Yeah, they're now moving back off. They may keep on bouncing back in and out, but we certainly have the jump on them here. Let's have a quick look and just make sure that each of the locations has got its starbase set up. Yep, that one's got the spaceport. That's really where the fights have taken place. Just want to make sure that Nithos has got one as well. It should do. Yep, we've got a spaceport back there as well. So we're sort of a bit underdone out through this other area. Third invasion fleet travelling towards a sail. We'll just dismiss that. Yeah, that's the third. Again, they're not going to be able to do anything. A sail is the moon that we have back out this other side, and so if they do come in here, we've already got an invasion fleet back out here anyway, and we also then have the sixth fleet, which is also set to defend. But a sail also has like a lot of troops on the ground here. Coming invasion fleet detected. The 9th invasion fleet of the Comanches has been travelling towards a sail. We'll just dismiss that. So they're sort of setting up to try to drop, but they're just not going to be able to. You see that there's different groups coming in as well. They'll also stop when they get there. They really don't have anything that they can do. Just pause again. So, hey Daz, nice to catch a stream. Yeah, hi Assault Trooper. And Caspar Mining is saying, it's been a while since I caught a stream. Hope all is well. Yeah, it's quite early for me, to be honest. I normally wouldn't be streaming for another hour or two. But I've got sort of like part of what I'm doing today is to actually then do the raid at the end of this, if you're watching on Twitch, to across to the Slytherin channel, where we'll actually then sort of watch the hot seat sort of Q&A type interviews that they do over there, which are quite interesting actually. What Slytherin does is one thing I really love about Slytherin, and also like a lot of the other sort of strategy game development or publishing companies, is that they're actually they try to actually get the whole genre enriched with what they end up doing, and so we end up with Slytherin actually does these interviews with people that are outside of their sphere of the games that they produce, but it's interesting because you get these different perspectives. Actually, I'm just going to go and just change where my face is. Just bear with me. I'm just going to move up just to the top of that. I think that there is my best spot for Distant Worlds. There we go. All right, so we'll just let these sort of sit back and we'll just sort of watch what's happening. You can see that there's enemy groups sort of in around our territory. So they're sort of pushing their luck. What we'll do is once these actually run away, we'll then end up getting our fourth, which has got it's half full, 5 armor, 11 infantry. One thing I was going to talk about was the stuff we had in through here. Let's have a quick look and see with these these fighter bases. What other areas do we need them on? So Matrani 3, we do need to build one there. So the planetary fighter base in through that side. I'm just going to go and start to build that one for another 10,000. One thing I was going to talk a little bit about the economy as well, like just because it can be confusing if you're used to the old game, like if you're used to Distant Worlds 1, and you're sort of thinking like you're seeing these big red numbers of like nearly 49,000. That's your cash flow. So we've got cash on hand here of 3,000. You just saw it went up to 13,000 immediately, and we've got cash flow of negative 48,000. If we were playing Distant Worlds 1, I'll just pause it there for a second. She'll put it back up to full speed when we do get going. But if we were playing Distant Worlds 1, that would be the end of the game. We'd be so far behind, we wouldn't be able to fix anything up. But in this game, we don't pay, like the private sector pays for building things like mining stations and stuff like that. So our economy doesn't grind to a halt in Distant Worlds 2, which is great. So it used to be that if you ended up with such a big negative in your cash flow, that would basically mean you couldn't do anything. Now it still means it's not good, like it's still not great, but we're still making money. And we're making money because we're a mercantile guild, and we're actually pushing, I guess, trade. We're pushing all sorts of other things where we get this income that we're not expecting to get. So I'll try to explain. I was trying to explain this in sort of like, let's actually just go across and open it up. This is the when you open up your Empire screen, you have the first screen here is the economy screen, and so we'll sort of see that we've got the cash on hand in through this other side. Now we've got the projected income back in through this other side, and then the annual expenses. All this one really does is it's got projected income there of colony taxes, and you can see there we're slowly making a bit more money with the colony taxes coming through. I'll talk a little bit about how we can sort of do things with that. And the trade income is very, very low. So we're getting a little bit of in through there with trade. And so we end up with getting 64,000. But then we actually have even just the ships and bases that we have costing us more than the whole lot that we actually have in through that other side. Plus then we've got the troops on top of that as well. So we're like 12,000 out, like in the red, just in ships and bases. We're not making enough money to cover that. Then we've got another 20,000, so that's 32,000. Another facility maintenance. This is the things like the hive fighter bases and stuff like that. That's what that's costing us. We're paying tribute to pirates as well. So we still have one pirate that we must be paying off. Hopefully that will change at some other point. And then so that then gives us the total cost there of 113,000, which means that we end up with our overall cash flow. Meaning this is what we can calculate, and actually, we can sort of almost rely on these numbers. So if everything else just sort of froze in place, that's all we would actually end up getting, would be that amount of money. And so we then actually end up getting also bonus income. So annual bonus income that we actually end up getting is that we end up building ships. So building ships for other empires, including independent colonies, but also for our own people. So when we build, for example, all the freighters that are required to be operating, as we grow our resources, we end up as we sort of expand the mining operations and things like that, we end up essentially where the private sector will need to invest in building ships, and they have to do that one through us. So the shipbuilding is actually, it's not other empires, it actually is essentially our trade network. Resource trading through here. Now, your empire will automatically sell excess resources to other empires when you have a restricted, limited, or free trade agreement with them. Now, with all the wars we've had, excuse me, I don't think we've actually got any of those anymore. We think we may only have one or two, but we are able to sell certain things off. So 23,000 is coming back from that. So this is all bonus on top of essentially the negative 50,000 that we have. Like, if shipbuilding alone in bonus income has covered almost the whole of our cash flow problems, and so all of this is sort of like just on top of what we actually have to pay. So fuel sales, these are the other empires will pay for fuel, including pirates. They'll sort of, anyone that sort of needs the fuel will actually then pay for it. Tourism, this is actually earned internally. These are where our own people will then go off to and also from other factions will actually visit our resort bases. So that's actually a fairly good source of income for us. The trade bonuses, this is the bonus income from the total volume of trade with other empires. So we end up getting like a sort of a cut, like a tariff, if you will. So we end up with this sort of like this tariff aspect, and then we've got the discoveries in through here as well. So money discovered in ancient ruins and abandoned ships and bases, but also from what we found in after fights. So we've actually been picking up a lot of loot in through this other side. So we end up with a bonus income of 132,000. And you can see it's been fairly consistent, like from year to year. The previous year, this is this current year. And so we've actually had like a fairly reliable income stream. Now, if we stop building bases, if we stop sort of getting like the trade network, which is what all these little circles are, then that first one will then start to dry up. Resource trading really should be pretty much okay, but the trouble we're going to have is we've got all of these different factions down through here where we don't actually like they are like these were potential. Well, certainly the humans were a trading block for us, but they've now gone into the sphere of the of these guys. So we do have some trade. If we go across to the to these in through here, we can see that we've got no treaties with them, but we do actually have our trade income from them is 11,000 over the last 5 years. And their trade income with us is only 600. Now, the reason for this disparity is that we have, when we go to war with these guys, we take over their bases. So we've been sort of building, we've been essentially cornering their markets. So this is a good source of income for us just from them. So you can sort of see down through there over the this year we've got already. Yeah, so actually we're nearly at the end of the year, but they've paid 3,200 credits to buy fuel from us and stuff like this. Last year was 5,000 credits. So it's sort of every time we go to war with them, we just take more and more of their of what they need for trading. So that's sort of what we end up doing with them. The Comanches, you can see down through there, we do have a little bit of trade with them. So over the last 5 years, again, we can just sort of see. Yeah, that's actually been pretty good. 2 years ago when we were at peace with them, we got up to 2,000. The Tekan Syndicate, we also have, this is actually a lot of trade income. So these are on the periphery of the galaxy. They're sort of out through here. And we do actually have a trade, restricted trade agreement with them. So we've got a good relationship with these. It's a long way away, but we are trading with them. And so we are sort of getting like a good income from those guys. The Anath Sovereignty, very, very limited. This is actually another one that's actually fallen inside the sphere of the Famulus Polymathia. Famulus Polymathia itself, you can see there nothing at all. These are a problem. Now they're going to become, as soon as they can, they'll be declaring war again. So we're going to be at war with all four of those factions again. The Shiite Unity Swarm as well. This is the group out through this other side. Again, reasonable income there, where they've actually, where they've sort of, even though we've been at war with them, they've still actually, or they're joined in with their overlord to do different things, but they haven't really. They've set these sort of like little invasion fleets, but they don't actually do anything when they actually get there. It just means we have to keep stuff around to sort of do it. These other ones, it's got negative 5,000. I'm not sure what happened there. 3 years ago, we actually had negative 10,000 credits. We must have bought something from them, I guess. Their trade income. So they've actually made a little bit of money from us, but not very much. These ones here, you can see they're very friendly towards us, but these are subjugated. So these are actually subjugated to the Famulus Polymathia. So they're a subjugated vassal. But if I could get these ones released, they would be good, because we've been trading well with them. Even though we're sort of like, even though tensions are high. The Boscara, again, we've just got these, and we take a cut of the of this. We take essentially a percentage off the top as tariffs, essentially for the empire. Anyway, that's why I'm not really. I don't like that it's negative 48,000, but I really can't do much about that. Actually, I can do stuff about it. What I can do is on my actual colonies is to improve the tax rates. And this is actually one of these sort of like little secret things about the game. Like if you're trying to sort of simplify the game in your own head, what is going on, how to actually sort of look at the game. All you need to think about is happiness equals money. I'll just grab myself a drink of water and then I'll talk about what I mean by that. So, whenever anything happens in your empire that impacts the happiness of your people on specific planets or whatever it might be, that's going to then impact the money that you make. And it's a fairly convoluted sort of journey to get there. If we have a look at Matrani 3, which is our capital. So you can see down through here, this is all the happiness levels that we sort of see down through these other sides. So you can see we've got like +5, +3, +4, +5, +5. This essentially is from the tax rate that we have on these different planets. You can see there that Sula 1 is +19. Now, what happens is the governors of the planet, so just now we've got these all set to auto, we can actually override certain aspects of any of these. The governors will try to maintain a level of happiness to maximize whatever it is that you're trying to do. Now, if you see a +5, thereabouts, what you're looking at is the governors are trying to maximize the income from taxation. They're trying to actually sort of get as much money as possible. When you see a +19 or anything sort of above the +5, like markedly above, you're looking at a governor that's trying to have the actual have the group grow. So they're actually in a growth phase where they're trying to encourage people to migrate to it and to promote sort of like birth and stuff like that on the actual colonies. And so these are in a growth phase where they're not making any money. So if we go back to Matrani 3, your capital should always be your biggest. This is the income that we actually end up having in through this other side. So 53,000 is sort of the income through there, 19,000 through here. This is the actual income of the world itself. So you can sort of see that we've got like a lot of income there. Not too much there at Meson 1, but that's sort of like the second one. Nithos is actually negative 17,000 at this stage. That's going to improve slowly, but we'll have to figure out why that's actually the case. I know why it is, but I'll show you what I mean. So this is a big drain on our money. If we can fix that up, we're essentially then going to be doing fairly well. So that's actually an important aspect, and it's something we may even look at actually to try to push this, to make this one actually sort of perform better. Takama, we're making a little bit of money there from a sale back and through here. This is that secondary moon that we've got, and then finally we're making 600 here at Sula 1. So the big ones that we have, if we just go back to Matrani 3, and I just open up this particular screen, I'll then sort of talk a little bit about why we are making certain amounts of money here. So Quark was saying, I did a test on happiness versus growth. I found growth to be linear until 30 happiness. Okay, yeah. They will try to, when they're pushing growth at a colony, they will try to get that happiness up as high as they can. Boland's saying, can you change the target happiness numbers in your automation policy? Not the numbers, I don't think. You can certainly override what it does do and actually stop it from being automated. You can see down through here, for example, that when we have a look at, this is the automation settings in through here. So the first one is taxation, tax rates. Now the tax rate here is 42% on this particular world. And so it's fairly high. If we have a look at, for example, Nithos, the tax rate is 37%. If we have a look at Sula, 23%. Tax rates are specific to each colony that you actually have, and these push the approval or happiness rates. So the governor will adjust the taxation rate to maintain an approval rating of about +5 on worlds that have already sort of been fairly well developed. Like so for example, the maximum population here is about 6 billion that we can actually have on this world, and we're very close to that already. So we're almost sort of maxed out in terms of population on the actual world itself. Development is how the population on the planet, like 58, like nearly 6 billion, how they actually then, it sort of impacts how they make their money. So we don't actually, the population on the planet will then sort of do its jobs and generate money and so on and so forth, and they generate revenue for the actual themselves. So they generate 242,000 revenue on this particular planet. There's very high corruption here. So we lose 44% in corruption. So 108,000 actually goes. Now, there's reasons for that, which we can get into, but a lot of that's going to come from the fact that we're a mercantile guild. And so we've got a lot of corrupt things going on. Leaves us with a base revenue of 133,000. Then we actually have taxation that comes off that. So 42% of this remainder is 56,000. We then actually have costs to sort of run things on the actual world itself. In this case, 3,000, leaving us with 53,000 actual money that we end up getting in our pockets. So this is sort of like, this is the money that we end up getting that we can then go and spend. So that's actually what we have per year coming back in. And this is the things that can impact this one are the approval rates and the development. The development will impact the revenue that they make. The approval rates will impact the tax rate. The corruption percentage will impact whatever the base revenue is. So those three things in the economy sort of dictate what you ultimately make. So for us, 44% corruption is very, very high. So we should look at that to see what can we do to try to fix that. And there are certain things we can then go and do, but we are a very corrupt faction. So we can sort of see what, I'll show you sort of why. Anyway, this next little screen down through here, this is how we can sort of increase the tax rate to 43. So we can sort of go up by percentages or bring them back down. What that will then do is it will ultimately just change the approval rating. So the happier the people are, the more we can tax them. Essentially, this is why happiness equals money at the end of the day is probably the easiest way to think of things. If there was an outbreak of some sort of virus on the world, it would impact our population, which also then impacts the amount of revenue that they make. But it will also impact the happiness, which will then mean that the tax rate has to drop to maintain this +5. And so when we have a look at here, I can actually change the tax rate. Now, I would never recommend that you do this, but if that A can be changed to manual, so from automatic to manual, where the governor of the world will actually ultimately then sort of just chop and change. Like at the moment, they're just changing it to always try to maintain a +5, but that can be changed through that other side. Troop recruitment and garrison is set to manual, so I'm actually manually managing that on the world itself. And we don't actually have that many troops on this particular world. But I sort of don't want to be building too many more at this point in time. So that's manual. Like so, any troops won't be automatically done on this world. The resource stock levels are automated as well. This is for building things and for also bringing in luxury goods. Luxury goods basically pump up the development of the actual world itself. Actually, I don't know why there's no tooltip over the top there. If you're wanting to find out what's impacting the development levels, you can't look at it from there, unfortunately. You can sort of see that there's different things in through here, but down over here is also the development, and we can see the specifics from the actual development itself. And so the development that we have on this world is 153%. Now, 50% comes from the population. And because we've got maximum population, that's been maxed out at 50%. So if we've got a smaller world, like Sula, for example, is probably going to have max population is 8 billion, and the actual current population is only 606 million. So they're trying to grow at this point in time. And if we hover over that one, you can see down through there, their development levels from their population are only 29% because their population is not big enough to actually push the development levels up. But at Matrani, the maximum we can have is 50%. And so 50% development comes from the population. We have 15% from other items, and then we have 88% from resources. And it's telling us there that it's growing because we're bringing more resources, luxury resources into the planet. So luxury resources, unique luxury resources are how we then push the colony development up, which means we end up with getting more money. So these are all vitally important sort of aspects of how things actually sort of then do go and work. So the more luxury resources we have in the world, the more different ones we actually have, the higher that development level will then go, which means the more money we will then make. So, and this is sort of like, this is a calculable amount. This is our base income, which then does impact this red number, this cash flow. It's sort of, I hope that makes sense, but this is all automated. We don't have to micromanage this at all. So the AI is sort of in charge of telling the freighter network, I need, X, Y, or Z coming in. So the way that works is this is actually in through here. If I just go and click on that, this is our resource and stock levels. So this is being automated at the moment. And so when we have a bit of a look, anything in this column that's red means that we're actually asking for it. Now, all of my building resources, the construction resources and fuel resources are fine. We've got heaps of that all on the world. But then we've got, in our luxury resources, anything we've got access to, we're actually asking for it. We're asking for 777. Now, we've got the Atarian fur. We've got more than what we need there. But there are people, we've got sort of like other empires are also they're going to be coming to buy it from this location. So some empires are coming in to try to pick up Atarian fur. And you can see there, like, how rare some of these resources are going to be. Like, we control 2 of the 4 known dark hull tentacles. Actually, I don't think that's actually an actual resource, but anyway. And then the Kago fur actually is, but there's only 6. We control 1 of the mining locations for that, of 6 locations that we're aware of. And so these all then have like a buy and sell rate for what they end up doing. And this is now our trade network, how things actually sort of do work. Reserved, like in through here, you can see there Dantha fur is we've got 200 in reserve. The amount of this resource is reserved for construction or other uses at this location. So this, like, luxury goods aren't used for construction, so I'm not sure what that's being reserved for. But we have much more than what we need. We're asking for Dicarian ale. We've got 3 mining locations ourselves of this one, and so there'll be mining ships coming back in. You can see there also the value of different resources and just how important they actually are across the from what the needs actually are of the world. Like Bifurian silk, we've got 2 sources there, for example, and we're below the level there, but we still have it, so it's actually still working. But the population will will just use this as part of their development to then generate their revenue. So the luxury goods are important. So the nectar, and through here we've got 1 source there. These all have different things as well. Like you can see there that if I've got Jacanta ivory, I've got 10,000 of this. And so the Jacanta ivory, I think, comes from this particular world. Got Arrakis meat. Actually, it doesn't. I'm not sure where that one's coming from. But if we have a look and see, with the Jacanta ivory, we've got a heap of different resources for this particular one. But this one gives you a plus 7% colony development aspect. So this one pushes up this development. If you've got it on your world, it pushes the world up by 7%. So some of these are really quite important. But then you end up with some really, really important ones. So I'll just go down to Zentabia fluid at the bottom of the list here. And you can see down there, Zentabia fluid is actually, don't have enough of it yet. This is extremely expensive because when I hover over it, 24% colony development. By having it on our colony, it actually pushes that one right up with all sorts of different other bonuses as well. Like it also does another 10% colony happiness. Colony happiness, again, means we can actually then tax it at a higher rate. So by having it on our world, we end up with better development, so we end up with more money over here. Plus, we end up with more approval, meaning we can have a higher tax rate, so we end up with more money here. So it's sort of all of these things correlate. You don't have to look at them all the time because the AI will just look after it for you. But this is that's just those stock levels are on automation. What then happens is the orders then go out to the freighter networks. The freighter networks go off to the mining stations and bring it back to that particular planet. Every planet has got their own list like this if you've got them on automation. So you don't want to be clicking that to manual. This is the population policy. This is actually how things then sort of work. This is the population policy for Matrani. Now, I've got a very, very open system with mine. I'm just sort of letting everything actually happen. But I can, if I'm wanting to, specifically bring in certain groups. At the moment, I've got everyone is welcome. So anyone that wants to come in can actually just come in and assimilate back into the actual colony itself. But I can do things like do not accept certain people into the different worlds. I can resettle if I don't like having a particular group somewhere. I can actually push them out of there and go to other worlds. I can enslave a particular faction. And then we've got the exterminate as well. So these are fairly drastic, these last two. And we're not really that type of empire, but the Boscarans and the insectoids, that's certainly something that they could do if they wanted to. The resettlement is not really considered evil as such, but it's something that these other two do impact your reputation quite dramatically once you start to exterminate groups. So you're better off if you've got like a group that you don't want on a planet. You can actually then try to push them away. If we have a look and see at the Harkonish, we're 100% Harkonish at this particular location. Let's have another quick look at the one that was trouble here, Nithos. So when we have a look at Nithos and we have a look to see the corruption is very high at 60%. What have we got built here? We've got a planetary administration center, which is going to help with the. You can see there the location bonus does give us a 20% colony corruption reduction. So even we're getting a reduced corruption level here anyway, but it's still not good enough. And so this is actually really a problem with what's actually going on. When we have a look at the actual group themselves, the Keterovs, and we've got three different groups that live on this particular location. Keterovs, this is a frozen world, by the way. I think it's frozen world. Is it? Grasslands. Actually, it's a grasslands world. But these ones have got we've got Keterovs, Artuks, and Icarus. What's actually happened with this is that we actually took this planet over. We invaded this one. And so you can see there that the assimilation, the Keterovs, of which there's 2.2 billion of them, have only assimilated 14%. So they're hardly participating at all in what we're doing. So there's only a very small percentage of them that is actually generating revenue. And so the Artuks at 35% are starting to become, and there's just over 1 billion of those. They assimilate quickly, and the Ikaru at nearly 60% as well are sort of getting there, but there's only 6 million of them. So they are, and you can see there the different growth rates. We're trying to promote growth on the actual world itself. But in this case, the big problem is that they're just not making money, and they're not making money because of the lack of assimilation. And so what we can do there is, if we're trying to think, okay, look, the Keterovs really are the important thing. That's a big drain. Support costing through here, 30,000 is what's costing me to actually support this world. So we're making the tax revenue we're making is 12,000, but it's costing me 30,000 to have this one. So colonies cost money to support. As they grow, their tax revenue will exceed their support costs, providing funding for your empire. But when colonies are small and undeveloped, they are a net drain in your economy. You can see there the overall development there is actually not bad. With what we actually end up having, but it's just the actual. So the 149% development is actually a good number, but the support costs are crazy. So you can see that the following factors increase colony support costs. So population less than 100 million, suitability for population less than 20, which is so this is actually not a problem for in both those instances. Unassimilated population, that is our problem here. And then population above 50% of maximum, which is also, what have we got through here? We have got, we've got nearly 4 billion, and we've got a maximum population of 6 billion. So we're above the 50%. So we've got two aspects which are a problem. The population above 50% of maximum, we can't do anything about that. That ultimately should end up being a positive, but the lack of assimilation is really costing us a hell of a lot of money. But this is actually important because this planet is the gateway to the Zentavia fluid. So we definitely need to keep that one active. So even though it's costing me a lot, in the long term, it's going to be fine once we get the assimilation. So how do we get the Keterovs to assimilate better? We can do that through technology. So if I go back into my tech levels down here and go to the very bottom, you'll see that I've got like basic diplomacy in through here, where the population assimilation rate will go up by 20% with that particular one. If I go across to this one through here, this one's going to take 3.5 years to research. It'll then go up again by another 40%. And if we have a look at our own faction, you can sort of see that there's actually it goes from that one to advanced diplomacy, 60% assimilation, then finally complete in through here. Actually, it's got plus 30% there. I wonder why it goes from plus 60. That looks like a bug, doesn't it? It's the rate, anyway, of assimilation. So I can, if I'm wanting to, research this, but I don't want to spend 3.5 years doing that. So I'm just going to put up with the lack of money on this particular world and just go for it. But I can actually also research Keterovs to try to make that one better. If we were evil, what we could do is enslave them and actually use slave labor. And that way they would then have to basically earn money as slaves for us. So, but we don't want to do that one. We eventually want to have them fully assimilated into our faction. So, but that is a choice we can make if we're wanting to with that particular world. Hope that all makes sense. It's fairly deep the way that the game actually uses the economy, but but in that sort of sense, what was I going to say? Yeah, it's very, very deep the way the game simulates the economy, but we don't need to know much about it. Other than I just have that little mantra in my mind: happiness equals money. And so if I'm doing something that impacts happiness in a positive way, I'm going to make more money. If something happens that impacts it in a negative way, I'm going to be losing money. So when we go to war and we have war weariness, ultimately that then impacts the happiness. Like if we go back to Matrani 3. And we can sort of see this is all the happiness. The inhabitants of Matrani 3 are satisfied, plus 5. That's because of the tax rate. Economy has very high level of development. They're getting plus 38 happiness from that one. Enjoyed the colony's high quality environment, so 12 in from that one through there. This is to do with the actual the quality of the environment itself of the planet. We enjoy living at the empire's capital, so plus 10 because it's the capital of the empire. Recreation facilities increase our happiness as well. This comes through from the spaceport has got like different facilities on the actual spaceport itself, and medical facilities increase our happiness again from the spaceport. So the spaceport is giving me another plus 6. Consider our empire's poor reputation. So we do actually have the citizens are a little bit concerned about that. Now I don't know how bad we are. Yeah, we're pretty bad. So we've actually got, we've invaded independent colonies and so on and so forth. That will rust away slowly. So you can see down there we're at negative 18, but every year we're going to be going up by 3.5 in a positive direction. So over time, that will then just erode. And it's only impacting our people, really sort of quite, not all that much really. So if I just go back to Matrani again. So that's a little bit concerned about that one through there. Very high corruption reduces our happiness. So unfortunately, because we've got such high corruption, that's now the only thing we can really do about the corruption is to essentially to research more planetary administration type things to try to sort of mitigate that. And then the tax rate, you can see negative 52 in through there as well. But the more we can make these things positive, the more money we'll then make from this particular world. So that's sort of the way, like this has all been sort of set. This bottom one has been manipulated, like with the 42% tax rate, to maintain a plus 5 overall satisfaction level. That's sort of the way it does work. So anything that impacts those numbers will actually then ultimately impact what's going on. But that's actually a good little divide of things from underdeveloped worlds to non-assimilated worlds as well, which are taking a long time to assimilate. But these are all stuff where eventually that will then come good once the assimilation is complete. So it all sort of kicks in. Now, just have a quick look and see where we got up to. So there's different things. I'll just see if there's any other questions for me. Kujigrim was saying 6 billion people living on a marshy swamp planet with a taxation of 42% and have a positive approval. Yes, well, they are frog people, as Mule says. I'll just keep on sort of scrolling down through here. Von Schwan is saying, seems Wekaris don't mind being taxed. In a current game, their planet has 21 approval at 70% tax rating. Wow. Okay, so I think it depends a lot on what's actually going on at different worlds. Valanis is saying, with enough luxury resource and buildings, you can get 100% tax rate on planets and still be really happy. I guess they're just working for the government at that stage. Yeah, seems working. Yeah, so we've done that one through there. I'll just see if there's any other questions for me. I'll just go back to YouTube. So Salt Trooper saying, I had to uninstall Distant Worlds 2 myself. I just ended up getting frustrated with the game. It's sort of one of these things. I think that a large part of the frustration, and if you go to the to what people are actually when they're talking about the game, one of the issues that people actually have, even people who have played it for many hours, is that there's often little things that actually are in the game but they're not aware of. And I think that there's a big part of the problem is when you come into this game assuming it's like every other space 4X game, and I think you've got to split your mindset away from it being a game and think of it as a simulation. And so a lot of what you're doing is just watching what the game does rather than actually trying to impact the game. You can still impact it, but only in certain areas. So I tend to only really focus on fleets. I don't really worry too much about the economy or anything like that. I do try to get things to help it when I sort of can see something that's glaring. But overall, it's a big game, but everything can be automated. So the automation is really the key, I think, to enjoying the game. And also don't play it at 4 times speed or 8 times speed. You do miss so much when you do that. It's a space opera, I think, as well as to think of it like a story. It's a story generator. And so you're essentially watching like a space movie playing out where big things are happening. But you can get into the minutiae if you're wanting to sort of just watch, specific interplays actually sort of play out. And we've done that with the naming of the ships and things. Like we've got on Twitch, people can actually then sort of name ships. So, for example, in the Takamar system, we've actually got like a group of 2 different fleets in through here where we've got some very powerful ships like Tail Sly Fox, Beacon, Quark. So these are all named ships, and if those ships get destroyed, then those people, those viewers, get banned for half an hour. Orangutang's Library, for example. So we end up with lots and lots of different things like that. But yeah, I do it like it's the game is also, we're not going to see it here, I don't think, but the game has now also added in aspects to try to get the frustration out of the automation system, because it like you sort of need to almost sort of know where something is. We're not going to see it all that often, but if there's something that comes up where one of our automation settings back in through here, which is sort of where all the actual automation is managed in the game, if one of these settings is impacting a message that comes up over here, it will then tell us that, okay, this message is here because you've got this particular setting, and so you can then go and change it at that level if you don't like it. So the game itself is now trying to manage, I guess, those aspects about what it's actually doing for itself. I'll just keep on reading through the YouTube comments. Hi, Trivet, how are you going? It's rare to force mine Zentavia fluid to mine. So it's a way to force mine Zentavia fluids to the main colony. No, and this is actually one of these things where we don't actually have control over the private sector. So, and this will frustrate people a little bit when they're starting to play up. So if I have a look, like Zentavia fluid comes from this one world. This is a unique world this is like Arrakis in the Dune universe. So we've got a very important location on this volcanic planet. There's been many wars fought over this particular one. We are in control of it at the moment. And but some of the other factions have actually ended up with outposts mining it. There's been lots and lots of different things. There was even in the last war, the Famulus Polymathia actually had sent a colony ship down to try to establish a colony during the war. But we have a mining station in orbit over through here, and you can see down through this other side, they've got 6,000 Xentabia fluid. So there's heaps and heaps of it here, but I can't go and tell a whole lot of freighter ships to go and grab it. What will actually happen is there will be ships that will go to it based on what the colonies need. So Nithos, for example, let's have a quick look at Nithos and have a look at their resources. If we go down to their luxuries and then have a look at Xentabia fluid, they've got heaps of it here. So they're only asking for 471, but in this case, because of the proximity, the Xentabia fluid has been moved across to this planet. It's almost like a trade station for it. And so they've got much more than what they need. There's some that have been reserved. Now, reserved is the amount of this resources that are reserved for construction or other uses at this location. And we also have a little bit of other ones there for other empires who are wanting to buy it from us. So we can make a lot of money with this one. I can also decide not to trade with different groups, but we are a trading faction. So for me, this is an important way for me to make money, which is really what our faction is all about. So I'm happy to let that one happen. At that point, there should be some of these freighters. So this one here is traveling, and actually that's not one of ours. Is that one of ours? Yeah, this is one of our transporting to Draconia 1 mining station, going back to Nithos. And so they're currently moving to the mining station to then take it back to Nithos. So that's like a freighter network that's just going back and forwards between those two locations. There may be others as well. What else do we have down this way? We've got another mining station. This is one we don't control. It's probably one that we should try to get hold of. This one here is a light trader as well. This one is light trader. It does actually have some Decarian ale. It's not really, actually that's not even one of ours. That's again the Sioux traders. So most of these are actually other trading shuttles. These are going to be other trade shuttles sort of moving off to different locations. But just remember that every time any location ends up with Xentabia fluid, they're going to get a big boost to their own income. So we have to be a little bit careful of that, about who we do trade that one with. Going back across, there should be more. If I go and click on the resources and through here, and then go down to my, actually if I just go to the luxury resources, and then we'll just go down to Xentabia fluid. So this is actually the trade networks that we can sort of then see where they've got different groups coming through, different stuff being drawn into different locations. And so most of it will be coming into our capital. Some of it will be leaving. So we've got stuff coming in, some stuff going out to other locations as well. So the trade network ultimately will then just push the resources around the empire into the various locations. And we'll then be drawing stuff in, like we're importing stuff from Del Traco back and through this other side. We're exporting things across here to Slata, which is the Tekan homeworld. We're exporting a lot of stuff into here. This is why we're making so much money from the trade with the Tekans. So we're actually pushing things back out. So there's stuff coming out from here. So the Sing system has actually got whatever the resource is, and we can hover and sort of see what the resources are, sort of, but there's like 4 luxury resources at that particular location, and so they're importing some of those back into their capital. The thickness of the line indicates just how important these trade networks actually are. All of these little trade things in through here are doing this big network between Misum and Matrani. So we've got like these different things sort of trading in through this other side. There'll be, like most of these ones here, transporting cargo from Misum 1 to Matrani 3, which are the 2 big worlds. So these are actually pushing resources back and forwards. And if I go and click on those different things, like if I go and click on that, this is a medium freighter. If we have a look in through, this one doesn't have any cargo at the moment. It's just in space moving down towards Misum. Another one down through there, light trader through here, or still with no cargo. We'll often find that as well. This one here is transporting to Misum 1 again, but this one's just bringing Ucantium Pearl to actually sort of, because this world has then asked for it. So the worlds will just ask for what they need, and eventually it will then make its way across. if I want to see what the actual trade for what we have, like through the, if I just sort of scroll back up to what we end up, where is it? Zentabia fluid, there it is. So we've only got, there's only one known source of Zentabia fluid in the galaxy at this point in time, and we control it. If I go and click on that one, I'll then see what the actual trade run is of Zentabia fluid, and we can see there's a big, there's a freighter network taking it to Nithos. We're not seeing anything from Nithos across to Matrani, which is what your question is how do we make it do that? What we can do is we can push the numbers up. We also then are exporting this out to the other colonies. So at Matrani, we then actually have like a system where we're pushing it out to Mesum. We're pushing it out to all the other planets from the capital. So the capital is sort of the one that's actually designated what's going on. Now there is actually also stuff coming into the moon that we have back over through here. So if we have a look at the two worlds that we have, so Matrani 3 is our capital. Just go into resources and just go down to Zentabia fluid. You can see we don't have quite enough, and there's a lot of this is reserved as well. So there's actually an amount that's been reserved to be pushed out in the trade networks out to other worlds. But this one, there should be stuff, there should be freighters moving off to the other world to sort of go and pick it up. Now this one here, we can just see what a sailor's got with its resource shortages. Let's go down to Zentabia fluid. It's got a little bit, so it's drawing some in, but each of the worlds will actually then have a certain amount of that particular resource. So when I click on any of these, I can then sort of see what the trade network currently is. But in this case, we're just really sort of seeing from the source across to Nithos, and then we're not seeing anything from Nithos, but there should be some of these will ultimately be coming in to pick it up. Actually, they're all enemy ones, but they're not ours. Yep, so this is transporting Aculon, for example, one of the building resources. Again, we don't control it, but that sort of just does sort of show the way it sort of does work. If I click on that one again, that's the whole trade network for the luxury goods. Fuel and construction, I'll just go and put that one back on. You can see most things are coming into the capital. Anyway, that's if you end up with a resource that's miles and miles and miles away, it can take an awfully long time to get it to your capital. But we do actually we've at least been able to get, I don't know if we've got Zentabia fluid back out here, for example, on this particular world. This may be too far away at this stage. Let's have a look and see. Yeah, we do actually have some. So we have been able to get a little bit. You can see there the amount that we've got mined is nowhere. Like we've got so much of it mined, and we only need small amounts. Like this one's only asking for 300, for example. So the worlds that we have, we've got much, much more mined of that resource than what we need. So there is actually that aspect as well. But anyway, that's it just means that we've got like a massive amount just sitting here at the actual mining station. Okay, we'll keep on going through. So yeah, sorry, but you can't push it. The trade networks have to want it, or have to be sort of told to do it. The only real way of actually making it work, and this I wouldn't recommend doing this, but I could go into Matrani and tell it that where is Matrani? There it is there. If I just go back into here, for example, into the Matrani system, and then go in and have a look at the amounts for Zentabia fluid, I could go and change that number to something like sort of 3,000 or something like that. Now, that's going to, if I look at the set colony automation, I've still got my resource stock levels are automated, but I've told it I want 3,000 here. So this, I don't know if this overrides it anymore. It used to always then switch back again. Well, let's just leave it there, but we can actually push this up, meaning that we're telling the freighter networks, bring in more Zentabia fluid to the home world. So we'll just let that one go for a little while, and then we'll just unpause and just see if it flicks back. I'll just let it go for like a month and just see if that actually sort of does impact things in a positive way. If we see what these fleets coming in. These are just coming in and then seeing what's there, but they're stopping straight away. So they're not going to invade. I don't think, it looks like a bit of a bug actually with what goes on with those. They come in, have a look, and then realise, oh, I'm not actually at war. I've got another one coming in here. This one here, we're on the wrong side of the planet, but is it going to continue going? It ends up with no mission. So I'm just going to, I can sort of almost ignore them, I think. Now they're offering to sell us some sort of secret thing. So requests, no, I'm not going to do it. I'll decline that. We've got 67 again. We're making great money with the bonus income that we have. And part of the Zentabia trade is part of that for us. So we are making money, making good money. Just pause that again. Let's have another quick look at Matrani and just see if it actually did flick back, because it is automated. So it should override if it's been set to automation. Yes, it has. So it's now moved that 3,000. The governor has said, what? 3,000? We only need 777. So that's actually sort of it's lessened its resolve. Now, if I really wanted to, what I could do is, and again, I don't recommend this, because as you find other resources, you can go and change your automation for resource stock levels from automated. I can click on that to make it manual, and then it becomes a manual resource shortages. I then can change, and it won't change it back. But it really isn't worth doing it, I don't believe. So so it can be maybe at the start of the game if you really, really need something. You can sort of try to sort of force things along, but ultimately it's not something that you want to be doing. There's too much micromanagement to get enjoyment out of that one. What did we get up to? Trivet saying like with military transport, because of course civilians do what they want. I think you mean, can civilians do it? Can you tell them what to do? You can't impact any of the private sector. We can a little bit as a mercantile guild. We end up with mining ships. Like if we have a look at the civilian ships, I don't know if we see the mining ships here. Make sure it'll be in here. We as a mercantile guild can go to, actually that's exploration. Where's our resources? We have mining ships. I can, if I'm wanting to, go and tell these ships to go and mine specific things at a specific world. So we can actually, as a mercantile guild, I can get these to go into specific locations. You know, for example, the Draconeer. I don't know if I can do it when I've actually got a mining station there, but I can tell these guys to go off and do it, but I'm just leaving them all on automation. So these actually go and mine specific locations and then bring it back to their home world. So that's sort of what they end up doing. So that's the and so you can control those if you're a mercantile guild. That's the only private sector ship you can actually do that with. Caspar Mining saying, shout out to Larry Monty. We miss your Distant Worlds 2 streams, buddy. Yes, we do. So Larry Monty, of course, is plays a hell of a lot, or used to anyway, of Distant Worlds 2. He sort of he often travels around a little bit, I think, and so then sort of so is away for extended periods, and then sort of comes back. And also, like many people who do YouTube as well, it can get quite tiring to actually do it. I don't know why I just haven't really been impacted. Like so many other people I know sort of end up just really it ends up doing their heads in. But that's I've been quite lucky because I still really, really love doing it. But and I think like at one point Larry was a bit he was a bit jaded with it, but that was years and years ago, and he's since come back from that sort of mindset. But yeah, so Larry's certainly one of the better streamers of Distant Worlds. Really knows the game backwards. So, but still actually very heavily involved in the beta testing of the game. So sort of still very, very close to the actual game itself. Salt Trooper saying, I've had a few games end in an economy negative spiral. Yes, it can happen. If, for example, we stop growing, it means that they're going to stop buying ships from us, which means that our actual bonus income will then go back down. So yes, it can happen, like where you end up with spirals that end up becoming negative. Particularly, this is such an unhealthy cash flow that we've got, but I sort of have to keep it there because we need the defences up. Reading a few more of the comments. You quite literally have to force it, says Assault. Yeah, so and again, the game, it used to be that you had to actually pay for things like, I think it was mining stations and stuff like that, whereas now you don't have to have that. So the private sector's money, which is back in through here again. So the private cash, this is what they end up having. So they're making a lot of money every year. And so that can be then used. We can tell them where to build mining stations, which means that they have to then buy stuff from us to then keep on building stuff. So we've got different groups going off to build mining stations around the place. So they're just doing that automatically. And that's then they're then having to pay us bonus income whenever they do that. And so, but the actual to build those things, the private cash pays for that. In Distant Worlds 1, that wasn't the case. That came out of your money. So the actual cash that you have on hand up here would then have to be then used to invest in the growth of the mining stations and things, which I think it was mining stations that was the case with. We still have some stations we have to build ourselves, but for the actual economy, we don't have to worry about it, which is great. Sort of works so much better. Okay, so assault troopers and corruption depends on what buildings you have on the planet. Some buildings reduce it. Your government, there is no other way to reduce it. Yeah, there is colony corruption can also be changed through resources, through luxury resources. There are some that actually impact different aspects of the of what you have. Again, if we go back and have a look at the resources and just go, sorry, that's mining. If I go back into resources here and then go across back to luxury goods, as I hover over these, so that's development and happiness, and then these are color coded. This is a mod that is that sort of tells you, like, this is going to be one that this sort of purple color is a happiness one. The green one is income, so it's just giving extra income. Blue is giving me just purely colony development. What else we have? Pink down through here is population growth. Yes, the pinks are all going to be that. I thought there was some that actually help with corruption, but maybe it doesn't. Yeah, maybe I'm getting that one wrong. But this is actually just a mod that color codes the backgrounds, so you can see which ones are giving different bonuses. Of course, these things like Loris fruit end up doing special things. Like this is 26% colony development. We don't know any of these. There will be one somewhere in the galaxy, but we're just not aware of it. Caribbean Spice as well. This one is another one that we just not really, and again, that's 5% all research. That would be a great one to get hold of. We don't know of anywhere where that is. Any other colours there? I think that's it, actually. So maybe there isn't actually any colony corruption reduction here with any of these. Yeah, this is just, yeah, so they're just the basic sorts of bonuses you end up having with them. Yeah, so anyway, there's nothing much else there. I thought there was one or two that did help with colony corruption reduction, but they don't. Okay, so forget that. Just go that one. And what else do we have? So the other thing really to help with that is to come back down to the system governance. And you can see down through there, I can't actually do sector governance yet. So to do this one here, the colony corruption reduction will go down to, like, it'll be like 30% off the corruption amounts. So let's just say we have a corruption level of say 50%. The 30% doesn't reduce it to 20%. It's 30% of whatever that corruption level actually is. So if it's if we can get this one, it would be great to get it, just because it will sort of help. But this one is going to take 17 years of research to get to it, and I've got too many other things to try to get. So we're just going to have to live with the corruption, and also we can't do it anyway at this point in time. You can see down through there, we've got cannot research. We have 34% high-tech research bonuses from all sources, and we need 40%. But when I get the structured research done and build the science academy, that's going to push us over. So we could go and get that one if we really, really needed to. So in this case here, though, we end up with the colony bonuses with this. 15% is great. That means a lot more taxation. The colony corruption reduction of 30% is great, because that's going to mean that, like, if we got, say, 50% colony corruption, it's 30% of the 50%. So it's essentially like 15% off, which is still substantial. colony defense goes up, and colony development goes up. So again, colony development meaning the amount of resources you make. So this ultimately leads to a lot of extra money when you get these things. The previous one that we've got through here, the planetary administration, we've got 10% happiness, 20% colony corruption reduction, and that's in development by 10%. Now that one is, the development doesn't change at all. The happiness goes up by 5%, and then the colony corruption reduction goes up by another 10%. So that's sort of, these are big things, but it's going to take way too long to go and get one of those. Just go and exit that one for now. So where did we get up to? Sorry. Where did I get up to? There's I'm scrolling back now to see where I got up to with the comments. Sorry guys, the comments are getting away from me here a little bit. Yeah, so anyway, there's talk then about, gosh, I really must have missed a lot. So you're talking about then manually doing ships and so on and so forth. What I'll get you guys to do is do an @DasTactic. If you've sort of asked me a question, I can see Private Joe's question, so I'll answer that one. But if you've got a specific question, please do an @DasTactic, and it will then highlight in red. I can just go back and see it. Like so Private Joe is saying, wonder how Daz manages to progress in game when he spends so much time recalling what is happening in different explanations. Not that I mind, I think it's cool. It does take a long time, but I try to. The reason I spend so much time trying to explain what's going on in the game is because for people who are struggling with aspects of the game, I just feel that these streams I try to make these streams so that people actually, I don't know, sort of overcome the hurdles that the game actually has. With you know what really pisses me off with this game is just how poor the actual rating of the game is on Steam, and I would love to be able to help people see the magic of this game, because it's an incredible game. It's the best Space 4X game ever made, and it's sort of crazy to see that it sort of rates around 70%. It deserves so much more. Now, Trivet's got an @DasTactic. Yeah, you need to actually give me a question, though. So just do a @DasTactic. I'll show you what shows up. Like on Twitch, I end up with a big red bonus like this, which is great. So I can sort of see what's happening on Twitch that way. But on YouTube, it's a little bit harder for me to see. What it does is it just does a little, when there's an @DasTactic, it then sort of comes up. Here we go. Okay, so I want to upgrade a frigate from design version 6 to version 7. Then I see the only option to upgrade to destroyer version 3. Do you have a resolution for that? Yes, basically, if you've got a frigate, that's the class of, and you cannot upgrade from one class to another. You can upgrade within the frigate designs, but you can't upgrade a frigate to a destroyer. The only real way of doing that is to, and if you're not, let's just say that, for example, you don't want to be spending more, you want to just switch out the frigates and put destroyers in, you literally have to retire the ships, which means they pull apart the resources slowly over time, and those ships then disappear, and you can then replace them with other ships. So sort of that's what goes on through there. So yeah, to do that one, you can't do it outside of the class. So miss your proper tutorials, but your explanation approach in these videos makes up for it, says Mike Gillespie. There we go. I'll just move that one off there. But that's sort of when I see it at DasTactic, it does make it easier for me to scroll back and find them. Private Joe saying, what pisses me off is that my admirals are an incompetent bunch. I'm still trying to figure out a setting to get my fleets to work properly on automatic defence. Okay, maybe I can talk a little bit about that. And I'll also talk about the ship designs, because that's actually where I do spend most of my time, actually, to be honest, is tweaking the designs. So this is the ship design screen. I really, really wish that that what they would do, like, is the devs would actually change the way that the game remembers your settings here. So what I actually have is You'll see that some of them are set to manual, which means that I'm in control of what the design actually is. Most of them are set to automatic, which means the game is automatically designing those particular, as something becomes available, they then just automatically upgrade those. We can see the amounts of different ships in the actual game itself. Like we've got 93 of the basic bombers, for example. So we've got BMR 2, there is, and then we've also got like BMR 8 at this stage. So I'm not sure why that one is still active, this design here. It looks like it may have come from a different group. But these are all active buildable designs. The thing I like to do is to go across to the, and click on the role. And so the role, what I can do here, sorry, is like the question was, I've got frigates and I'm wanting to sort of and make them into a destroyer. They've got completely different hulls. If let's just say I had an escort and wanted it to be a heavy escort, I can do that because it's within the same role, but I can't actually move. I can't make an escort into a frigate or a frigate into a destroyer. It's sort of like, well, just that was a really bad analogy, but I was going to say it's a bit like if you had a battleship and wanted to change it into an aircraft carrier, but that's exactly what they used to do. So that's not a good example. But in this case, you really, like, it would be like starting with a destroyer and trying to make a battleship. Like you wouldn't do it. It's just way too much. You can chop and change things a little bit. I mean the early aircraft carriers were battleships basically with a deck put on them, but that's the one area where it doesn't actually work. But in this case, these ones, I always like to have role as my, so all my escorts are together, and then I can just sort of see what I've got. And so I'm only really manually building my frigates, my escorts, and my destroyer. And what this also then tells me is when the last upgrade was. And you can see down through here for the escorts, I've got 48 of these escorts here, and they were last upgraded in like 7 years ago in the game. So these are fairly old now. And we can see other things like, defensive bases were last designed in 2811. That's automatically done by the AI. So the AI is doing that one for me. But a lot of my ships are around about the same era that I actually had been building my own, the escorts and things. So I don't feel like but we've had no big development that making me want to then go and change those. So we've actually had a lot of use out of these ships that we've got currently. And we've been designing these for very specific things based on the equipment that goes into them. So we really want the heavy blasters to be placeable in these designs as soon as we can possibly get it. So that's the first thing. Now there was so in terms of designing these sort of ships, I then just, when I get new equipment, I then go in and sort of then chop and change these and then sort of have it so that they become the next upgrade path for the game itself. But you don't have to do that if you're not interested in doing that one. But anyway, I always like to have role as the way of doing it. I just wish the game would remember when you've actually clicked on something, but it doesn't actually remember that. You've got to then do, or even if I go back in and look at design up a ship, I've got to reset every session. I have to reset it, which again I wish it wouldn't do that one. But it's fairly complex, that screen. The other thing with through here is your military tab, where you can then go across into your fleet templates and fleet creation. This is the easiest way to manage what's happening with your fleets. And so the things that I sort of set up, for example, if we have a look at the attack fleets, some of the main fleets that we're actually using, it just shows you what the build cost is to build the new attack fleet, what the maintenance per year is, how many ships there are in there. If I go and edit this, I can then, I've got 8 frigates, I've got 2 fuel tankers, 8 escorts, and 3 destroyers. That's my basic setup for these guys. Important things like trim excess ships by default, that will be enabled, but I like to overpower fleets by putting extra ships into them, and so I've disabled that just so I can add more in. If that's enabled and then we automate the fleet, they will ditch the excess ships, which we don't want. So I like to actually have more ships of my choosing in these fleets. So I always turn that sort of thing off. And basically it just tells you what the upgrade path is going to be. Whatever the latest design for the frigate hull is, the frigates will upgrade to that one. The escorts, so latest design for the hull heavy escort. So only when I design a heavy escort will they then go and actually change. So this is the escorts are heavy escorts, and destroyer again latest design for the hull, the largest hull for the role, which essentially is just the it's going to be the destroyer hull. So that's all that's really happening through there. In terms of this is only applies when it's first built. After that, this no longer applies. So if we just go back across. When I go to a fleet, for example, if I go to the 6th fleet, which is actually looking after our home world, back here in the Ventrani system, we can see that the 6th fleet, when I got it selected, is set to, this is an attack fleet, so that's what we're looking at through here, but the fleet role is down the bottom here is defend, so we can sort of see that that's actually what the role actually is. But when we start to scroll in, we can see it's only defending this one system, and so the automation system here is actually really quite cool. So what you end up doing is you just go to tactics and just tell it what you want it to do. So the fleet engagement range, again, if I hover over that one, it'll show you what the different systems are, but you can go and change that. So if I'm sort of thinking, look, I don't want these guys sitting out through here in the Delupi system, I can just go out to 50M range, and so it will now defend any threat that comes into this area, but something has to be threatened for it to do that one. But in this case, I really need this one to be looking after the home system. So same system is fine for me, just to have that one through there. So all of my fleets that are automated, and most of them actually are, will actually have different roles or different ranges depending on what I've actually asked them to do. Like, so for example, I think I've got the 7th fleet or 8th fleet out through there. That's also only looking after that area because we were, we had invasions coming through at one point. So they're only looking after the Nithos system. The 7th fleet is only, is it the 7th? So yeah, the 7th fleet, when I click on that one, this one's set to manual. I want this one to also be defend, but I want it to also just be the same system. So the Draconeer. In fact, what I may do is just tell it that really I don't want it defending anything other than just this this mining station. So I could go and tell it again just with the tactics to not do the same system. The same location is going to be basically anything around this particular planet. So I'm just going to go to location. We won't see that anymore, but that's actually now automatically just going to look after only that particular planet. So that's sort of how that one does work. So you've got system, then planet, then even smaller than that again. So all of the fleets will actually have their automation settings set up in different ways. Some of them may be bigger, like I think the 5th. No, that's still only small as well. That's only going to have like same. Actually, that's 50M range. Actually, that's funny. Why is that not showing up? I want to set to defend 50M. I don't know why we're not seeing the colour band out there. That should be showing up. We'll just go back to 5th again. And just do that again. 50M does take us out there, but for whatever reason it's not displaying. We've got the 3rd out through here. These are also set to just same systems. They're only looking after the Takamar system. But you can sort of chop and change the orders of where things go. Particularly in war, you may want to set up one of your fleets as a raiding fleet. So I can actually just go across, for example, if I go to the 1st fleet, because here we go, this is exactly it. This one here, the purple colour is the area that it's actually going to be raiding. So this one is an attack fleet set to raid, and it's set to raid within 100M range. So we will look for targets. If a war starts, it will look for targets anywhere inside that range and then go and kill them off. And so it's a very effective way to just have a fleet automatically going off to hunt if you need it to. So those different things will actually help a lot. So where do we get to? 100th Monkey is saying there is a filter to see only the manual designs, but yes, the game doesn't remember the last year's filter. I wish it would remember that because it makes it easier for people. Anyway, let's keep on going. So we'll just unpause the game. And we'll just wait for this to come through, the structured research. Made a discovery. This is like we're getting bonuses at different locations if we did settle something. New mining station. So these are all just being built automatically. So I've just got the, I'm completely hands off at this stage. I'm just sort of watching the game develop, just playing itself out. This is, I think, where it's tempting for players to switch the speed up to go faster and faster. But I think that you miss a lot when you start to do that one. You can see we've got 81,000. Like, our cash is very, very strong, even though our cash flow is terrible. So we don't have to panic about that. Particularly as a mercantile guild, we make so much money through trade that we just don't need to worry about it. So I'm just going to change those down. I'll just wait. Incoming enemy fleet. So they're coming into this particular location. Now we've got the 4th, which is our invasion group. They're just sitting back in through here. Now these are set to manual, which is fine, and I'm going to be picking up troops from this location eventually for other invasions. But here comes the next little invasion. It'll get there, realise this isn't a good idea, and then just stop and move off. Here it comes. Yep, no mission. So it comes in and thinks, oh, actually, maybe not. Off you go. You've had enough. It does seem to be a bit of a bug, the way that they're doing that. Yeah, so Carsnemo is saying to Assault Trooper that Stellaris is still a very good game, just the focus and the mindset is different. The global resources versus the local resources. Yeah, the local resources in this game really make it into a simulation. Like, you've got to build anything, you've got to have the resources at the location you want to be building. And that also can be a bit frustrating. So you don't want to be expanding too quickly in this game. You want to be able to make sure that you can actually build what you need to build, and that you do actually have the economy to handle it. Now, look at the money that we're making here. We're making good money. New mining station completed. Okay, so we're making more and more mining stations. With the money that we have, I'm just going to save it all up so that we can try to then sort of rush the next. We've done what's called a crash research on this, where we spend money to boost the research along at double the rate. So we've only got a few more months, and then we're going to end up getting the structured research. This is all good stuff, getting these mining stations. This is quite secure for us back out through here. This is quite a friendly location out here, but this is quite unfriendly in here. And so I can't afford to be going off and charging after the insectoids, because these guys ultimately are causing issues for me. I think the next time we end up having a big global war, like if I declare war against any of this collective of grouping through here, they'll all declare war back. But if one of them declares war on me, the others won't step in, or they may, but it'll only be if they want to. They don't have to. So the Great Direction. This is actually this is from here with the CU administrative clans. So while we're just playing it out, the freighters are just doing their thing. This bonus income is incredibly good for us, but we don't want to be pushing our luck with the cash flow. New mining stations again, just all being built out through here. The pirate factions we see are friendly to us. Reveal independent colony. We're going to decline that. I do need to keep a bit of money. Now we're at 91% with the structured research, which is important to us. Okay, now this one's steel research information on the hull splinters again, so that's good. So we're getting closer to picking that one up. The hull splinters are just assault pods, which are not all that important, in terms of what we want. I've just got I've got the spies on auto. I don't want to be micromanaging them. So we have a whole lot of different other characters and things that are just doing their own thing. I'm manually placing the ambassadors at different locations, and I'm manually putting in the the admirals and the generals and things. Quark has been detected. So after trying to steal research on welcoming new friends. Okay, so this is actually fortunately they were able to escape. It's good. Research breakthrough. This is improved water colonization. This is interesting. Now, this is actually, again, through the old wars, there was information about settling on water worlds. And this comes from this particular faction here is a water world. Like, these are aquatics. And so we've actually we found research in that one. If I just go into, I'll dismiss that one and have a bit of a look at it. But that may mean that we can now sort of start to settle on even wetter worlds than what we already could. And again, it's a bit of a convoluted way the game actually handles that, but we'll have a quick look and see. If I just go back into my research levels and just go back up, yeah. So we've got water colonization. We're now going to improve water colonization into here. So this one is now giving us, and so we've found both of these in like these techs have been sort of left over in the debris of after combat, and so this one actually then is giving us a. So deep ocean, we get +8 colonization suitability modifier. The previous one would have been like a +4. So we end up with deep ocean and ocean. It's a little bit easier for us to colonize this one now. So if we have a look at the colonies and then have a look at new colonies and outposts, what we're looking for is actually anything that's over 20. And so in this case, anything under 20 is going to cost me too much to actually settle it properly. So I want to be very, very picky about what I actually do pick. So as we sort of scroll through the list, there's nothing that's over 20. So there's they're all sort of fairly low. Things like Draconia, which is where there's Intavia fluid is, you can see it's -21. This is actually something that's actually really, really hard to settle. But the reason I put it there is so that we can actually build an outpost, because it's so valuable that building an outpost may be a way to control the planet in the long term. But I'm happy with just having mining stations. That way I don't have to pay the support cost. Anyway, that's all fine. Let's keep it going again. So we're just waiting for this now. So 53 days for that one. Now they've got little groups floating around. They're possibly going to be wanting to get Nithos back at some stage. So we just have to be careful of the different fleets. Now, because we've taken so much of their infrastructure from them, it should ultimately end up being that they just don't have enough money to build a big military. Oh, here we go. Shield research. Now, where is that? So we've got this is a location here where, has anyone built anything? Yes. So there is actually a research station there already. So this is the Wecarus that have actually, that have built this particular one. It's way on the other side of the galaxy. Too far for us to worry about. So they've already discovered that one. They're just our we've sort of got explorers now all the way through the galaxy. So we've almost got the structured research. We'll then build that at our home world. Once we get that one. So you're saying Distant Worlds 2. I'm not sure if that means for the win. I'll take it for that. It's a great game, this game. It's funny because these times of not really a lot happening is all just build-up time for when everything explodes. Like all of these invasion fleets now moving back to their capital. Here we go. We've now just got structured research. So what we want to be doing is we're now going to be going off to do multiple starships, multiple roles. This is light cruisers, which would be great, but it's 8 years away. Now, what I really need is the impact blasters. So I'm just going to go across. I'll just go and dismiss that one. I need to very quickly build that location so I get the extra. Now this that is a sail. I'm going to go back to the capital. This planet here, this marshy swamp planet. We're going to go into facilities, and we then actually have the Science Academy. So this is going to add another 2,500 to the cash flow, the negative cash flow. We're up to nearly negative 60,000 now, but we're just going to go and build this one up through here. And so it's going to cost me 50,000 to build that one, but that's then going to give me a boost to all the research that we end up doing. So this one will eventually sort of will be under construction. It will take some time to build, so we'll just keep an eye on that one. And in the meantime, I'm just going to let the multi-role starships start to just get a little bit of development, because we do want to get to here eventually. But what we really, really want badly is to go way up to the very, very top and pick up. Actually, we can do it now. 25% plus 20. Yeah, so we actually have the threshold. Yeah, so we needed to get to 20%. We've got 25%. I'm thinking that we must already, just by starting the build, we actually get the bonus of that one. So this is actually the one that I need, the impact assault blasters. And the reason that we want these is the damage per second. And you can see down through there under the medium one on the far end, it's got medium is 33 damage, and then it's got 9.6 per second. After that is a large one, and it's the large one that we want. These advanced blasters are pretty good, but not as good as these. So I'm going to go and select these now. I'm going to pay the cost to go and start to grab those. So that's now in the research, but I want these to go to the very, very top because that's actually what we want as fast as we can get it. And so if I go and click on that one now, can I pay for it? It's going to be crash program is 160,000. So we've got the high power blasters. Let's just go and wait for that one to get started. We'll just exit research. And we don't have enough. But as soon as I've got the money, I'm going to be wanting to buy that research, because I don't want to wait 6 years. I want to wait 3 years. So we'll just wait for that one to then come. And then once we get that, we should then open up more of the tech tree to then get the next level, which will give me the large blasters, which are really the game changer, which is what we're actually fighting against whenever these guys go to war with us. So we need to catch up. So we're looking to get to 160,000 to do the crash research. I actually don't think you should get the bonus until you've actually built something, but anyway, I'll take it. Mining station completed. Now, if I don't like these messages as well, I can actually change the filtering of the messaging. Like if I'm not interested in seeing, the mining, like the base information, but I do want to see other bases, so I don't mind those ones. It's not as if we're being inundated with different messages. I've turned off certain things so we don't actually have to see them. You're up to 66,000 now. Message. Okay, so I'll just keep that one paused. Now, this stuff has actually happened through here. So this is actually what's actually happened here is the first thing that's actually happened is there's been a war declared against us. So the recent war declaration against us by the Sioux administrative clans has activated account confiscation. This allows us to take bonus income of 100% of all trade income with the Sioux administrative clans over the previous year. And so the amount confiscated has been 3,200 credits. So we've got a little bit of credit from that one. So when somebody that we've been trading with actually goes to war with us like this, that's what actually does happen. Now, they shouldn't be able to do too much, but they want the Zentavia fluid back. It used to be theirs. So we're going to dismiss this one. Now, these are not a major threat to me, so I'm happy enough to just thump along. So here's the declaration of war. So they've declared war in through here. Now we should find that most of their ships, you've got little strike forces and stuff down through here as well, but nothing at all to actually be able to really threaten what we're doing. So, and if we have a look and see if they've got anything at their home world, yeah, there's some sort of things happening in through this other side as well. So they've got like a defense force down here, but they're not going to have a hell of a lot. Now they may actually have, they've been at war also with the Boscara, so they've got like another strike force in through here as well. These guys should be a lot weaker than what we are. We actually have a largish fleet in through here. This is our 6th fleet. which is actually set here to look after this particular mining station. So that's its job. This one has been set to automation, and it's been set to the same system. So we will now go and protect this particular system. One thing we're going to have to be wary of is either them sort of pooling their ships together to attack us. Now there's another third fleet there. We don't know what this one's going to do. This one is, you can see there, even with this one, it's only got a strength of like 600, whereas my sixth fleet, if I go and click on that one through there, we've got 2,500 overall strength. So we're very, very well set up to do different things. They may bring invasion fleets in, which we'll have to be very, very mindful of. And so we've got the seventh is back here protecting the Zentabia fluid. And again, this is actually still 1,400. We do actually have one of a captured. So we've got this one is commanding the defence force, but it's a general that we actually, sorry, it's an admiral that we had captured from them some time back. Actually, that's a Tekin one. So no, maybe he may have just come in actually. So it wasn't a capture as such. So that's a Tekin general there. Not very good, but anyway, he's in charge of that little group protecting Draconeer. And then we've got the 8th fleet back over through here. Is you can see it's protecting this whole system, and so it's also just got like a small number of ships. In this particular one, only with strength of 752. That's there to stop invasions. So if there is an invasion of Nithos, Nithos has a lot of troops on the ground, so we've actually got like a massive garrison strength. You can see down there a defense strength there of 3,400. For anyone to break through and invade this planet, they're going to have to get past this small fleet. They're going to have to get past this spaceport. We do have a planetary fighter base on the planet itself as well, and an administration complex. So that's all sort of that's all fine. What else do we have there? We've got an imprisoned admiral from the Quamino. So this is actually imprisoned. Yes, we actually imprisoned this one, and it's been held on this planet. So it was actually we had ships that ended up coming back here with an admiral that I think from memory we actually ended up having a fight over in here somewhere, but ended up bringing the 6th fleet or one of the other fleets back down this other side here. Anyway, we've got enough fleets there, I think, to look after this particular war. Next thing that's going to happen is we then end up getting the war missions. So we actually have a accept war mission, destroy enemy research station. So this is actually one where they've actually got a research station inside this territory. And yeah, I'll just accept this one. So we end up with a war score of 25,000 if we destroy this one. It increases their war units by 0.25. So they've got it's a very good location. Oh, sorry, we end up getting research progress there as well. Let's have a look and see it. Because that, I mean, we're going to do it. I'll just say yes. So we'll accept that one. I actually would prefer to capture it, to be honest. But anyway, we'll accept their mission and we'll have a quick look and see. So they've been able to sort of establish a, what have we got there? Resort base. This is it here. So it's got a little bit of shield research and troop research. Would be nice to have it, actually. Would be nice to have it. Now, I don't have any spare fleets. I've got one raiding fleet back over here, the 1st fleet. If I move that one off, if I go and click on the 1st fleet through here, I've also got the 3rd fleet there as well, which is also set to defend just that location. Just make sure it is set, yeah, same system. The 1st fleet is the one, though, that we've got as a radar. That's the one that I possibly could take down that way to actually go and do it. If we go through all of my actual fleets, the 1st fleet is here. The 2nd fleet is back over here, which I need to keep in this system. The 3rd fleet is, and that's going to be protecting all of the mining stations that we've got. 3rd fleet is important because it's protecting this planet. It's funny because even though this one rates very, very high at nearly 7,000, the 1st fleet, actually the 1st fleet is rated at 9,000. I almost need to switch out what these do. I think the 3rd fleet is going to be better off attacking down in here and leaving the 1st fleet. So I'm going to change the role here to defend, and I'm going to change the order to just the same system. So it's going to take over that role. The third fleet, with Orangutan's library here, is going to be changed into a raiding fleet. And I'm going to move that down. I'm going to have it also then just go out to 100M. So that's now, I'm switching the roles because this one is not quite as good. We have Admiral von Schweinhund in charge of this particular group, and we'll move them down. It will now sort of manually sort of get them to go off and do different things. So we're going to go and tell them to come back down into here. I actually would prefer to capture it, but I won't. I'll actually send it down to destroy it. So we'll actually just go and attack the Artist Research Station. So they'll move down and do that attack. And they can fly there in one go, which is good. So we're just going to get those thumping along. Now, the other thing is, once we get down here, the reason I want to bring another fairly large fleet down is to start to take over as much of this territory as we possibly can. So anywhere where they've got mining stations, I want to control them. So if we have a bit of a look, yeah, so all these different mining stations, I want to start to capture these. But I need a spare fleet to do that. I could risk the 6th fleet here to go and start to do that as well. What we might have a look at is actually setting up some automation targets for the 6th fleet maybe. So if we change the 6th fleet to a raiding fleet, so we'll just go to raid, and we'll go and set these ones up to the set tactics to be 100M. That will then just take us over the border. So I might set that one up to allow it to keep on coming back into our home systems. And with that one in mind, we'll then just go through now back to our military tab, and we can then look at actual targets, enemy targets, to see what we end up having. So the Artist Research Station, we already have the 3rd fleet is attacking that particular one. We've got, that's going off to attack the Galerite mining station, which should be one of the moons in this location. Now we've got the 2nd Defence Force is attacking it. So hang on, that's 2nd Defence Force. Where's the 2nd? Oh, the 2nd is there. So 2nd is going off. This one here is actually moving into, it's got a raid aspect. The 15th Strike Force is attacking one of our mining stations, and we actually have the 2nd Defence Force is now going to go and kill it off. Nithos 2 mining station is way back over here. I'm going to set that one up as well. We might as well go, but while we don't actually have any threats around us at this point in time, what have we got there? An invasion fleet there. Let's just see. They've got a lot there. We have to be a bit mindful of this. These have come back, I think, from the wars up here. So they've been sort of trying to battle the insectoids. We have also targets back over here as well. Now I can specify specific types of targets, but in this case, I'm sort of happy enough to just have a look and see what we actually end up having. So Nithos 2 mining station. I'll manually tell the 8th fleet to go and take that one out. So Nithos 2 is back over here. Oh, they've got a lot here. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff. They've got a mining station in there. They've got mining stations back out this way as well. This is Nithos 2. This is actually a refueling station as well. So I will actually go and tell the... where's Nithos 2? I'll go and tell... sorry, that's it there. So that's Nithos 2. This is the one that's actually getting the fuel. So I'll send the 8th across. I'm going to manually... When I tell it, give it an order. I've got good boarding assault strength, so I'm just going to go and tell it to capture Nithos 2. I'm moving it away from the planet, which is a bit dangerous, so we'll have to remember that we've actually now given it a manual order. What I can do is I can tell it to go and do it, and then I can put it back to defend again, and it will go back to its home base, which is Nithos 1. So that way it's going to go and do the attack, capture it, and then move back home again. And that's sort of what we need, just to sort of keep things so that we can keep on protecting that particular world. And we can maybe sort of find other things as well as we do it, but that way I don't have to think much about it. All right, so that's now got a strike force now going off to capture it. We have another mining station back in through here. Again, there's a heap of these back in here. You know, I think what I might do is I might go back to the 8th and tell it it's a raider. And that way it will then, we can then sort of have other things come up as well. And so I think we'll actually just go and target queue attacks in here as well. Queue those attacks. Nithos 4. I'll just queue attacks in once we get these things. These are all in this little, in Nithos, which is inside our territory. We've got different fleets now. We're not at war with these, so I'm just going to change the to keep it priority. But I'm going to go with war targets all, which means we don't have any of the other stuff other than just who we're at war with. Second Defence Force, again, we're not going to worry about that one at this stage. Some of these are just too far away. Now the First Invasion Fleet is also now trying to move down. I don't know where that is. The First Invasion Fleet is moving towards Nithos 1. So I don't know where that actually is. Sixth Strike Force, not going to worry about that one. Waiting for fuel tankers. This is all in their capital. Third Fleet back over through here, moving to CO2, which is their homeworld. Okay, there's not really a hell of a lot more that we need to do. So you can see there's not a real lot of targets. We do actually have these though, so I might, if we go back to CS Administrative Clans, is that going to then give us other things? We're not seeing all the mining stations. We're not seeing all of these as an example. Anything that would be on our side of the border, we would definitely be picking up, which is sort of what we're targeting. Like we're targeting things that are within range. Let's have a look and see what they've got in here. So this one here is not really an important planet. This one here has got Bifurian Silk, which I know that we've got like a lot of that, so we don't really need that one. That's a good one. All right, we'll get the 6th to come across and capture this. So they're going to be moving from our home world out to here. So we're going to leave our home world unprotected now. And this one's a good one as well. So I'll just go and capture the first one, and then we'll sort of destroy what we can in here. Okay, that'll do us. And then we just got to keep an eye open for their ships moving back in. Now there's other. If I can sort of hover over different systems to see what sort of resources are available in them. It's a fairly powerful group back in there. Anyway, that's fine. Let's just wait until we end up getting sort of messages. Incoming fleet. So this is the 15th, is going towards the Charalet mining station. If we just go back to show me, this is actually what they're going to be targeting. So we've got like we've cornered this sort of market here. These guys they're full of resources. And so our fleet here is going to move off. This is actually going to go and attack the 15th Strike Force. So I don't need to do anything. It will just go and do it. But the 15th is over here. So they've got like the 15th is this one here. And so they're moving off to try to take over that particular, they're going to try to destroy this. Just watch what actually happens here. Our guys are following in. They're going to move off. Now, if we have a quick look and see what's going on, might just do it at half speed, but before they could jump, we've actually jumped ahead of them. If we go back to the 6th, is that the 6th? That's the 2nd, sorry. The 2nd in through here, we don't actually have a, we don't have any sort of, we don't have a admiral involved here, but we've been able to get ahead of them, so we jump faster, and looks like we're actually jumping more quickly as well. So they're actually still. They've now stopped, and they're now sort of going to be starting to attack us, but we're coming in straight away. I'll just go to half speed. So we're going to smash these, absolutely destroy them. Now we've already sort of smashed our way through their armour, and we're doing damage on the hull. So I'm not telling these guys what to do at all. They're going to start to run. Hyperdrive is offline already. These ships fall apart. This is the weakest of all the factions. have to worry about. That's someone else. This other group is now, the 6th Strike Force is now coming in as well. So that's going to be destroyed. And these are still set to defend. So anything that's a threat will be targeted by this group in this system. Just leave that off for now. They're moving to CO4. Oh, that's good. Where's that? Yeah, somebody else has already got a research station there. The Xenox, I think. Again, a fair way away from our territories. So the 3rd Fleet is still moving its way down to attack that research station. Got a long way to go, so we're just watching the action here. There's one of their welds. Blowing up all their stuff. Our ships shouldn't really take any real damage here. Okay, so Nithos 2 mining station has been boarded and captured. So if we go and have a look at this one through here, these guys have now captured that mining station with all of its fuel resource. This is just that small group, the 8th. So the 8th is now set to raid, and they're going to raid targets in the same system. And so its next one is to attack one of the other mining stations. Now we've gone through all of our assault boarding strength, so now it's just going to be a matter of destroying everything else. So which one's the next one? JY43, which is this one here. So they'll move off. They'll just keep on attacking that. Have a quick look and see if there's anything else coming towards us, which there are certain things, but nothing much really. So the big 2nd Fleet here, this is sort of like gunship diplomacy that we've actually got. So they're trying to escape. So our 2nd Fleet is still attacking the 15th. And that is, yes, we've just got different ships that are moving off all over the place. They will happily split up, and at this stage I'm comfortable for that to happen. Now they're moving back in here. We actually have some of our ships have now split off to chase these down. I think I'd prefer to try to keep them together, so I'm going to go and get the 2nd to attack that particular ship. So we'll just sort of wait for them to come back in. They're sort of now moved off all over the place, just because they think that they're powerful enough to do it, but it is safer to keep them together. So we've got battles going on between these ships. It's now still taking on this mining station. They're still fairly strong. Here comes the rest of the fleet. The 2nd, I'm just going to go and put it back into defensive mode after this. They should be trying to jump away, I think. Yeah, they're jumping. They're realizing it's just too strong. So the different weaponry that we have, the white beams that we see cut through both shields and armor, and they sort of go through and do hull damage. So we can sort of hopefully sort of disable them before they can get to jump. One jumped, they both jumped. Now, we will chase it, but I don't think I'll bother. I'll just go and give it an order not to do anything. Yeah, that's the 19th Strike Force. That's going to Sioux 7 mining station. Alright, I'm going to attack this. The 19th Strike Force is sort of right here, so we might as well go and do this one here. So just attack that one there. So this one's sort of gathering here, so we're right here now. So we'll just micromanage these. Coming fleet detected. So the 19th, yep, we just saw that one. They're just getting ready to stage, whatever the rest of that one is. So that's in the home system. Now these are coming in. We've got the 2nd Defence Forces coming in to help out, as is their main attack grouping through here, the 3rd Fleet. I'm still comfortable enough with my 8th, with what it's doing. I'll just double check and make sure that it's not super strong. So we're going to need to go back to our star base and use that along with the planetary fighters to help this one out. So we'll let this one destroy this. I'll come back and deal with that one soon enough. So they're coming in, I think, to attack this. Here they come. Come on, finish it off. Doing much damage here. There's an old pirate ship. I've got a couple of admirals on board. This is now getting too difficult for me. I'm hardly making any damage here. So the 8th I'm going to move away and tell them to go back to the planet, which is back over here. So I'm going to go and tell them to come back to the actual planet itself. So I'm just going to go and get them to... I can move there, or I can actually just tell them to go and refuel at Nithos 1 spaceport. That will then bring them back, and hopefully we then draw them into the range of these fighter craft we have back that way, rather than sort of let these things... so they've got 2 admirals there, which would be great to kill it off, but it's just going to be a bit too much at the start. And we don't want to take any damage here. See, there's groups all over the place here. It's down to 31. Doing some damage to this. There we are, we're away. Now hopefully they follow us. If they destroy this, it won't matter, because we're ultimately, even when the war finishes, we'll be able to fix it all up. 3rd Fleet of the Sioux is actually now an attack vector towards this mining station here, which we had taken over. Where is that? That's at Nerelixin, which is actually too far away. So I'll let that one fall. The 2nd is still attacking this particular group. That's now been disabled. It's trying to jump. Just let them sort of do their own thing. How's these guys going? So they're coming in. So this is the 6th. Now they're going to be capturing that one. So I'll let that one happen. That's going to be not a problem. Not seeing any fleets back in through here. We do have long-range scanners. If I turn those on, we should sort of see like coloured areas. So you can see that we've got like a lot of... There's no surprises in here. I'll just turn them off. Now the 2nd Defence Force is... let's have a quick look and see. So they're now moving off to try to take other locations. FD 699, yeah, that's going off there. Dismiss that for now, and incoming fleet detected. Yeah, that was too far away. I'll let them do their thing. We'll just keep our fleet sort of back in around here for a second. Refueling up. They're moving off. There's other raiding groups moving in. That's the 6th. This is the one that actually should be protecting the home system. It's usually not a good idea to do this. Yep, so we've got those ones coming. It's under assault again. We're still pretty good. If it's only 1 or 2 ships, we'll sort of be okay. The second... Where is the second? Yeah, they're still all just back in here. I'm just going to put them back down to defense again. And they've got no mission at the moment. So it says waiting for fuel tankers, but we do need to be protecting our assets. So let's go and wipe these guys out. And I'll just put them back to defend again. Yep, so we've got the Soars mining station. We'll come back to look at those in just a minute. We'll just go and double check on this particular raid. So we're just going to get the shielding down so we can then put the boarding teams onto this particular station. Actually, we still don't have enough money yet to be able to crash research this, I don't think. You need 145. There we go. Now there's all the boarding teams all going onto it. So there we go. We're going to have this one no problem at all. Alright, so with the 6th, I'm now just going to micromanage what they are doing. There was other groups in here as well. That's one of ours. That's one of ours as well. That's an enemy one, so we'll actually just go and tell it to destroy that one. So we'll might as well just weed these ones out of here. The 8th, so they're going off to destroy different areas, but we do control this area, so I'm not overly concerned about losing mining stations in here. Let's just keep them coming. Fierce Fang Force eliminated. So that's a pirate group that was eliminated by one of the other factions. I really can't move the second off from here. They do need to stay where they are. I'll just tell them to stop. Oh, they're still going off to attack other things. I'll tell them to stop again. No mission. Yeah, protect bandit of... That's okay. We'll just keep them... I just need to keep them sort of back in that system. The 6th is moving in to attack, which is fine. Yep, so we've now captured and boarded that mining station. What this does is it just means that we end up controlling even more of their resources that they need. So they have to end up, when the war finishes, they have to buy it from us. So it keeps them fairly subjugated without being subjugated themselves. So we're now moving in to attack this one. Hi orangutans, how are you going? Yeah, it's been an interesting little series, this one. I mean, this is an easy beat. This is an easy one for us. We're not at war yet with the big one again. Here comes this particular run that we have. There's a defense group moving down through there, which is following in our 3rd fleet. We've got the lead ship here, which is the Orangutan's Library. Big ship is coming in with these ones following it, with another small defense force coming in behind that. So it's chasing it down, but it's not going to make it. So this is the rest of the ships, but the big Orangutan's Library is like a massive carrier an ancient carrier that we found, and so this has given us a big advantage. But it's going to go in initially on its own to destroy this, and and then we'll flip across and we'll do the raid. If you're on Twitch, we'll do a raid across to the Slytherin channel in just a couple of minutes. In fact, I might even leave it with us coming in. I might just wait for it to land, and then we'll actually we'll flick across to the Slytherin channels to watch the hot seat that's happening over there. Just about to start now, I think. So we'll just wait for the orangutans library to arrive. It'll arrive here on its own. There's other ships in here. Not that we have to worry about it. So the orangutans library is out ahead of the others because we didn't tell it to prepare an attack. We just told it to attack. So we didn't bother sort of slowing anything down here. And then we can just watch as it arrives. So it's now hit this particular location. So you can see there it's sort of sending all sorts of different craft off to do different things. All of its fighter craft are now leaving the actual big carrier. God, it's a beautiful game, you know, like it's just awesome. So that's the, I might even keep it right there because I think I might take a screen grab and make that my my actual, she'll get a bit of the planet maybe. I don't know. Yeah, that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool there. I'll make that into a thumbnail, I think. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, guys. But what we're going to do, though, is if you're watching on Twitch, so I'll say goodbye to you guys on YouTube. If you're on Twitch, we'll do a raid across onto the